Why should we grow food and flowers from seeds? Well, one, we can empower ourselves by taking food production into our own hands and selecting non-GMO varieties, heirloom varieties, healthy, antioxidant-rich varieties, purple varieties. There's a vegetable that in almost every category that comes in a purple variety, which is loaded with anthocyanins. And so we can boost our immune system with our purple, colorful veggies. The other thing I think there is to say about growing food and flowers from seed is a little bit more of a poetic observation, and that is you are starting life from the most elemental components and watching that happen, doing it successfully, and seeing all the ways that different vegetables, herbs, and veggies and flowers all grow from a very seed is just fascinating. It's a great activity for families. It's a really wonderful way to reconnect with nature and life and empower your garden even more. Another very important reason to start your own vegetables, flowers, and herbs from seed is because you can prevent a lot of disease and pests this way. So often when we buy our plant starters from the garden centers, even the very best garden centers, they're growing those in large greenhouses that are going to have more issues with controlling disease and pests. And so very often I find that even when I buy plant starters from nurseries because I'm desperate, I miss my timing, I need some, you have a greater chance of bringing in that disease and pest population into your garden. Let's go ahead and talk about indoors and outdoors. You want to get comfortable doing both. And the reason why is because throughout the year, there's going to be changes in temperature and weather that's not suitable for growing seeds outdoors. And you're going to need to get started indoors. In fact, I even use accessories like a heat mat for vegetables like tomatoes and peppers that need warm soil in order to germinate. We'll get into all of that as we go through this masterclass. I have all of my seeds organized by families. So your tomatoes, your peppers, beans, and the way that I have this organized, you can obviously organize it however it calls to you, but I have, along with the names of each group of vegetables and herbs in here, I also have the dates for when I can sow those. This is just a metal shelving unit. You can adjust the racks as you need. I like this shelving unit because it gives me space to store my seeds, to store containers. I've got alcohol wipes up here for sterilization. Now, you might not need something as big as this setup. I have a bunch of products that I recommend on my website for seed starting materials, but essentially you want to have something that can hold a light. Now, if you have just 1 to 3 raised beds, you can even find a countertop light that would work fine with your trays, your humidity domes, a heat mat. And so you do not need something this big. I am growing food for 12 raised beds and 4 clients. So I have a lot going on. I also seeded a lot of plants in preparation for this masterclass. So the next thing I want us to take a look at are our trays. You're going to find all kinds of options for these trays. I use this particular brand called Bootstrap, which is extremely heavy duty. I have used other trays that are less expensive and come in smaller packs, and they are flimsy. They break, and I want to use something that I can reuse over and over again. Let's look at the components here. So this has got 3 parts. It's got the bottom tray, and then it's got this top tray that all the little cups fit in. And I like using this method because it's easy to water them. We're going to show you how I water these plants, but when I need to move these around, I've got this tray that keeps all my little pots in here, and it's extremely convenient. Again, don't skip out on cheap plastic trays. The next thing we're going to do is talk about prep. There's one more thing I want to point out when it comes to our setup before we get into prep. And you'll notice that I've got one shelf here with the light much closer to the seeds and one shelf with the light much taller. Many seeds do not need light to germinate. There's going to be some seeds that you might press into the soil. They don't want to be covered. They don't want to be sown too deeply. Those will respond to light. But most seeds are going to be buried just a little bit, and they don't technically need light. Thank you guys so much for entrusting in me to share this information with you guys. I love you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful weekend and happy growing.